Hey everybody, my name's Chris Warren. Welcome to the You Should Be Worried podcast. It is, again, the second solo episode. Ben was feeling very under the weather, and Matt was off on some business, and so it was left to me to make a special second time around solo podcast, another episode that nobody asked for. They told me, Chris, we can skip a week. We've been making this for 2 years. Like, people are going to be fine. And I was like, no, I'm a narcissist. I have to put something out there for constant external validation. So I'm going to make my own episode in my apartment. This microphone, not plugged into anything. I forgot to order the right cable, but I think it makes it look a little more official, right? You like the back? I made a new background. If you're watching this, we got Richard Nixon. My mom gave me that. My mom knows me pretty well. My mom's pretty cool. She watches every episode of this. I would describe me and my mom's relationship as what a psychologist would probably describe it as inappropriate and unhealthy. But I think that's what makes us so close as a family. Like, my mom works at a place where she runs events sometimes for different groups, right? And one of the groups that wanted to do an event there this week was a Jewish organization. And so, my mom doesn't really know anything about Judaism, bless her heart, but she knows I'm Jewish. And despite having zero knowledge of what that means, she rocks with me 100%, right? And that's what I love about mothers, So they were having this event down where she works, and she was the facilitator, so she was talking to the person running the event, and it was this young Jewish woman, and my mother goes into full mom mode and is like, hey, my son's Jewish, and this woman was like, oh, is he Orthodox? Because I guess that's what she was, and my mom, not knowing what that meant, said, of course, my son, of course he's Orthodox. And it tried to set me up with this random woman she met, which honestly, kind of shoehorned it in there. But really, good on you, Mom. Your friends are always saying like, oh, I'll look around, I might have a friend, and then they never show up with anyone. My mom was out there, saw the opportunity, she shot her shot, dude. She's like Kobe Bryant out there of trying to get her son laid, and that's what I appreciate, And when I was talking to her later, she's bringing this up, I was like, oh, that's, maybe I'll meet this nice young woman and pretend to be Orthodox because I'm conservative Jew, Mom, not an Orthodox. But, that the difference is not important. The important thing is you saw a Jewish woman and you were like, that's going to be my son's wife. That's the energy we need around me at all times. And so I told her, like, Mom, I only have one question. And me and my mom were mind linked, so she knew. She was like, they're B cups at best. I tried, but beggars can't be choosers. And I was like, hell yeah, dude. My mom knows my preference for well-endowed women, so that's probably the unhealthy part the psychologists are talking about. That's probably, she's not going to love that this story made the podcast. She's probably watching right now mortified. But that's, what, Mom? I love you, and thank you for trying to help me find a nice Orthodox wife. Maybe I will lie to this woman for the next 3 months, pretend to be Orthodox, and then get married and have a life where I have to pretend to be that for the rest of my life. I've made bigger changes to appease women in my life before, okay? The becoming more religious would be the least negative change I've made for a woman. So, yeah, I think that would be good. As you know, I've been Uber Eatsing because my life is falling apart. So that's been fun. But I did have an interesting delivery yesterday. I didn't know you could do this on Uber, but you can be a courier. Like in Fallout New Vegas, like they just give you stuff and you just take it to another location and they just hope it gets there. And the other day, I got one of these and I pull into this little, like one of those independent pharmacies, not like a CVS or a Walgreens, but like a stand, like, Dr. Whatever's little pharmacy. And the note, because they give you notes on the app, just says, go inside, ask for Sam. Sam will know what this is about. And I'm like, that's an unusual request for these, but I'm already here. So I go in and I forget this message, so I just go, hey, I'm here for Uber Eats. Here's the order code. And they're like, yeah, we're a pharmacy. Like, we don't do Uber Eats. Like, what are you talking about? And I was like, oh yeah, no, the message said I should ask for Sam. Is Sam around? And the woman goes, oh, 1 second. And she runs to the back. And I hear her speaking Arabic to a guy back there. They're both speaking Arabic back and forth. And then the guy comes out and he I just see him as he's turning the corner, put like 2 pill bottles in an unmarked paper bag, staple it shut with no receipt on it, and just hand it to me. And I'm like, is this for Uber Eats? Are you sure that this prescription medicine in unmarked bottles, is this for Uber Eats? Is this for me? And he's like, buddy, yes, you take, buddy, yes. Clearly did not speak any English, says something Arabic to the woman, and the woman goes, yeah, no, you just take that. And so I did. I was like, okay, I don't get paid to ask questions, all right? I get paid to get things there on time, like the platinum chip from New Vegas. So I pick up the bag of mystery pills, and I drive like to this sketchy part of Norwalk, to a strip mall is the address on the drop-off, and it's a pharmacy, another independent pharmacy. Like, it's called, like, Route 7 Pharmacy, which seems, sketchy. In the middle of this strip mall, next to, like, a liquor store and a Dunkin' Donuts. It's just wedged right in between there. And I walk in with the unmarked bag of pills, and I just go, hey, I don't know if I'm in the right place, but I have a drop-off for Uber. And this guy with, he had, like, this sounds messed up, and I don't mean it to. This isn't, like, profiling, but he looked Chechnyan. For anyone that knows what I'm talking about, you know exactly, if you've met a Chechnyan, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like a white dude with like the Amish beard, but you can tell he's like a white Muslim guy, like very intense. And this Chechnyan guy goes, oh, yes. And I hand him the pills, and I'm like, all right, is that everything? And he clearly doesn't speak English, just looks at me and goes, yes, buddy, thank you, yes. And then rips open the bag and takes out the pills and runs to the back with them. And I'm like, I think I just facilitated a drug deal. I don't feel good about this. Do I report this to Uber? I'm an accessory now. I guess I'm gonna leave. They also didn't tip, which is like, if you're gonna have someone mule drugs for you between 2 pharmacies that are a half hour away from each other and nobody in the situation speaks English, I feel like I should at least get like $10, right? That seems like a reasonable amount of money for that. Another Uber adventure I had actually today before I came here is I drove to Stanford. This was another one of these courier deals. This is the second courier deal I did. And I didn't know it was one. I pulled up expecting to like be at a Wendy's, and it was just some woman's house. And then she comes from across the street of the address on the Uber thing. So I'm like, oh, you clearly don't live at the place you gave me to show up at. And she's like, hey, yeah, this is for my son. His daughter left her bag at my house, and hands me a what are they called? Like a red fanny pack. She hands me a red fanny pack with Mickey Mouse on it. Shouts out Ricky Baus, Matt Lopes, you know what I'm saying? But she hands me one of those. She's like, this is my daughter's, my son's daughter's, my grandchild's stuff. You need to bring it to Yonkers. Because then it doesn't tell you where you're going till you click confirm picked up delivery. And it's taking me an hour to Yonkers. And before I can say anything, because I'm like, I'm going to cancel. I'm not driving to fucking Yonkers. She disappears. And I'm like, well, I just have this bag. And I picked it up. And I like shook it a little bit. And it, like, this might not make sense to some of you, but it was clearly vials of crack. I don't know if you've been in that world and you've ever, like, the little glass vials that clink together. Like, I clinked it, and it was like, oh, yeah, I know that sound, dude. I have a shitload of crack in this bag. I didn't open it, because it was kind of like Schrodinger's cat. It's like, maybe it's art supplies, and if I don't look in there, those are really vials of paint, you know? Maybe it's really just the daughter's, like, art kit. But I was like, oh shit, this is definitely crack. And I thought about throwing it out the window, but then I was like, my courier duty, how am I gonna explain this to Uber? I can't afford to lose this fake job I have on this hell app. So I drove to Yonkers. And then I pull up to Yonkers, and the address I was given is a barber shop in Yonkers. So I pull up to the barber shop, and I get out of the car, and there's a guy getting his hair cut it's like a Dominican barbershop. He's getting his hair cut, like his what do you call it when you do the beard? You like edge up the beard. He's getting that done. And I'm like, hey, I'm Ubering here for Joshua. Is he here? And the guy in the chair is like, oh, that's me. Did my mom give you the thing? Which it's like, if it's your daughter's bag, why would you say the thing, right? That makes me, well, I already know there's crack in here, right? I'm being cool. And so I'm like, yeah, man. And I give him the bag and he literally goes, you didn't open this, right? And I'm like, of course not. Why would I ever do that? Which I didn't, to be fair, but I know there's crack in there. And he's like, all right, bet. I'm gonna tip you good. And I'm like, thank you, sir. Just please don't kill me at this point. And I left, and about a half hour later, he gave me a $20 tip. So, you know, hey, I'll mule drugs every now and then if you tip me $20. That was, you know what? Shouts out to him. Because, you know, there's a lot of drug dealers out here that are scummy guys. They're doing underhanded things. They're hurting their customer. They're not taking care of their distributors. And this guy Uber Eats a crack delivery from Stanford to Yonkers, and he tipped his unknowing accomplice that I was tricked into being an accomplice, but he paid me very well for my service. Because he looked in my eyes and he's like, I know you didn't open that bag. You seem like a good guy. And so Joshua, thank you for tipping me. And if I do get arrested, I am going to rat on you. I'm going to roll. I'm not spending even 24 hours in prison. I will tell on you. I'll tell on your mom that gave me the crack. I'll tell on everybody. I'll make up stuff about people I don't even know. I'm not going to jail. I do want everyone to know that about me. I spent years being a drug addict and did a lot of, like, nothing cool illegal. I want to be clear, like, when people are like, oh man, back in the day, I was like, no, I never did anything cool illegal. I wasn't like a cool drug dealer or a kingpin or anything like that. I was just a drug addict trying to chase the high. But in that time, I did a lot of embarrassing, kind of shameful things that were, varying degrees of illegal to get by. And I was lucky enough to never get caught, never have to go to jail, thank God. But if I was caught, I made it clear to everyone I knew, it's like, oh, I'm gonna tell on you. Like I told my drug dealers, like, if I ever go, I'm gonna tell on you. You're gonna go to jail. If it's a speeding ticket, you're going to jail, Kyle. I'm not going to jail for you. I hope he's doing well. I hope that guy's all right. As those of you might know, our regular co-host, Matt Lopes, who's normally here, he actually, just yesterday, hit 1 million followers on TikTok. So I just want to I don't have the applause button, but I just want to give him some props, because I know when I met him, that was a goal of his, and he did it. So we're all very proud of him. You guys should all be proud of him. If you listen to this podcast and you don't follow Matt Lopes, you should go follow him. He also hit 300K followers on Instagram, so that's pretty cool too. So, all jokes aside, Matt is one of the funniest, most talented, kind people I've ever met in my life. I love him very dearly, and I'm so glad to see him be successful. Genuinely couldn't have happened to anyone more deserving. So I think we should all go show him some love, give him his flowers, and DM him, congratulate him, because he worked hard for that, and he deserves a little credit from the fans. In other news, because it's just me on the podcast, I can talk about whatever I want. I did the normal stuff of talking about my life, but when it's just me and I'm missing the other three people, it's like, that's only going to fill so much of the 4-hour podcast. So I did want to talk about some news stuff, because no one's here to tell me I can't. And if you've ever seen my Instagram or TikTok, you know that's all I talk about when I'm not on here, because I'm very lonely, my life is not going very well, and I really enjoy worrying about problems I have no control over that don't really affect me. It gives me a sense of superiority and power that you can't quite get anywhere else, right? But in cool news, the US government just finished building the Helios laser. And for those that don't know, this is something out of a sci-fi movie. The Navy invested, I don't know the numbers and I refuse to do any research, but it was like billions of dollars into this sci-fi-esque, like Starship Troopers laser cannon. Then this isn't an exaggeration, it's a literal laser cannon. Like something you'd see on a dreadnought in Warhammer 40K, like the plasma weapon. They put that on a U.S. Navy destroyer, and it looks like it's like, if you've ever seen Back to the Future, it looks like the back of the DeLorean, like all those tubes and everything coming off the back, like when he puts the time travel device. It looks like that on the front of a U.S. Navy destroyer, and they finally finished, I guess, building it, and they test shot it publicly, at least for the first time. I'm sure they tested it in private. But it fucking works, dude. It shoots, like, there's a grainy photo of it online that's in, like, thermal vision, but it's so cool, dude. It shoots like a legit laser beam. It shoots an actual, the US government made a death laser. This is the coolest shit ever, and no one seems to care. There's a death laser got shot for the first time yesterday, and supposedly it's gonna be used to take out, like, enemy drones, because it can basically shoot into space. So if there's like a drone however many thousand feet in the air, like spying on the Navy, they can just and shoot it out of the sky, which is cool. I mean, honestly, we have like missiles that do that are like 1/100th or 1/1000th of the cost of the project and then upkeep of the death laser. So it's honestly a pretty bad use of funds, but it is badass, and that's more what I care about. So I would rather you spend my tax money on a death laser that we didn't need than giving me universal health care. Unpopular opinion, I would rather have know a death laser is out there than know that I have health insurance. That's just me, though. It's a free place. Do what you want with that information. A lot of people, because of the news videos I put out now, which are all supposed to be fun, I just think stuff's cool and interesting. I don't really have political opinions, I've been realizing. Like, it's just really whoever the last person I talked to that was smart. Like, a dumb person's not gonna win me over, right? I'm gonna be like, idiot. But if someone's smart, like, especially if they're smarter, like, I can tell they're smarter than me, and they tell me what they think concisely, I will switch to that position until I meet another equally or more intelligent person than that last person that tells me something different. And I realized that a while ago, and so therefore I have no actual political opinions. So I've just decided to base everything on what I think is really cool or really funny. Because I don't understand how things work anymore. That's why I make videos about death lasers and not domestic policy, because that's not fun. Who cares about that? I want a death laser. But because of these videos, a lot of people have been attacking me in the comments, which I don't care, but now some of y'all are sending like weird psycho DMs. And I love it. Honestly, I will talk. If you DM me, I will talk to you. I do not have a lot going on, and I have a lot of misplaced rage and disappointment in my life that I will take out on a stranger. But it's been really fun. Like I talked about the fake coup in Turkey back in 2016, which is pretty well documented. I wasn't trying to be like a dick about it. I just thought it was interesting. And all these Turkish guys were messaging me like, oh, I'm not going to do a Turkish accent because I don't know what they sound like because they're an irrelevant country that nobody cares about and have no media presence. Losers. But they did send me a lot of DMs like the coup wasn't fake, or if it was, the CIA did it. And I'm like, so you're saying that America, like they were telling me that America sucks and that we're weak and incompetent, but then also accused us of causing their fake coup. And it's like, if we can start a coup in your country, doesn't that kind of mean the opposite? Doesn't that mean like you can't start a fake coup in our country? That's all I'm saying. I mean, maybe there are nations that could, but it's definitely not Turkey, you know? So you guys got to shut the fuck up, Turkey. I had an issue with the Ukrainians before because of my spelling of Kiev, which I still hold, which no one listens to me. You're like, you're spelling it the Russian way. Well, I'm sorry, all of U.S. history on Eastern Europe is for the most part taken from Russian sources because you guys were all collectively under the USSR until like the 90s. So that's all the sources we had in our textbooks. And so that's how I learned about it. When we anglicize Kiev, we anglicize it to the Russian spelling. That is common practice at every university around America up until, 2022 or whatever it was when you guys started your war. And then politically, we all changed it. But I'm not making a political statement when I write Kiev the correct way that we learned to spell it in America. That's just how I've spelt it for the last I don't know, 25 years I've been studying Eastern European history, and then you guys all came at me, and you started sending me death threats and DMs, you started saying I was an agent of Putin, you started saying I was a bad person, and listen, I didn't feel strongly about the war either way, because like I said, I'm not political, I don't understand these things, but after about the 7th death threat, hear me, I actively hope Russia takes you over. I hope Russia wins the war. I hope Russia devastates Kiev so badly that it's not even on maps anymore, and then you can't even argue with me about the stupid fucking spelling because it won't exist. How about that? Test me again, Ukraine. Test me again. And it's never people in Ukraine that are complaining. It's always some guy that's living in the US for the last 2 years, conveniently since the war started, that wants to talk shit about, you're a guest here. How about you shut up and show some fucking appreciation, okay? How about you go back and fight the Russians if you complain so much, you fucking morons. I'm sorry, I got too heated there. I'm just tired of foreigners being mean to me in the DMs. It's not nice. Americans, you are always nice to me. I don't care what they say about us in media. Americans have DM'd me disagreeing with me, but they're always at least polite. You know, Europeans and other groups will just start the conversation with, you're a fucking moron. You don't know history, dumb redneck American. But, you know, Americans always be like, hey man, did you really mean what you said? And I'll be like, no, I'm a comedian. They're like, oh, bet, it was still, I don't like it. You probably, like, I wish you would take it down, but like, pretty funny, respect. And that's because we're the best people on earth. We're the best people on earth, Americans. I love this country so goddamn much. I'm feeling lightheaded from talking about America too much. That happens to me sometimes. In other news, I did a show actually down the road from here at a brewery. And that was this last Friday, and I wasn't thinking anything of it. I was like, whatever, you know? And then I do the show, and there's a girl that looks strangely familiar in the front row. And so I ask her name, and I won't, you know, I don't think she wants to be on this podcast, but she says her name, and I'm like, oh, did you grow up in Southbury? And she's like, yeah, and I'm like, we totally went to high school together. And she was like, what the fuck? And I was like, Region 15, go Panthers, baby. And that freaked her out. I thought it was funny. But no, I did go to high school with this girl. And so after the show, she comes up to me and she's like, did we really go to high school together? And I was like, yeah. And she like, she ran through a list of people that she thought I might be. And I was not any of them. And then when I told her my mysterious real name, she went, yeah, of course, yeah, I remember you. Like, she did not remember me at all. And I didn't need to do that to myself. She didn't recognize me. I didn't have to bring up we went to high school together. And then it turns out she didn't even remember me. It was embarrassing for everyone involved. So that was a bummer. That was, you know, it just felt weird, you know? It's like we weren't close or anything, we weren't friends, but it's like we had like four-ish classes together over the 4 years of high school. We had a couple mutual friends, you know, you think, at least vaguely remember who I was with context clues. So that's just another example of me thinking something's gonna be fun and then I hurt my own feelings. I do that a lot, you know? Although, good for her, she aged well. You know, she looked this is going to be mean, but she looked much better now than she did in high school. I can't say the same for myself. Years of drug abuse and not sleeping and vaping have done horrible, horrible things to my body, from which I will never recover, most likely. Well, as always, guys, this has been the You Should Be Worried podcast. My name's Chris Warren. It has been so much fun talking to you. I miss my friends. I don't like doing this alone. I don't think I have a solo podcast in me. But thank you for those of you that stuck to the end and listened to my ramblings. That makes me feel important. And as we stated at the top, that's all I do this for is to get external validation. So thank you for that. And as always, you can follow me at Chris Warren Comedy on Instagram and TikTok. You can follow Matt Lopes at Matt Lopes. You can follow Ben Kirsch at BennyBoy_28. You see Ben, Jared, and Matt on In the Making ITM, where there's a bunch of great and funny and hilarious sketches. And You Should Be Worried Pod go follow us, like, comment, subscribe. And if you want to DM me anything interesting, my DMs are open. I don't keep them locked like some people do. I will see it, and so know if I didn't respond to you, that I saw it and I made an active choice to ignore you. And you should take that personally and hold it against me and brew on that and seek revenge. I think that would be a healthy use of your time. But anyway, guys, it's been fun. Have a great day.